It seems like every single day we're getting a new stimulus bill. Kind of like how you get some new bills in the mail every day too, and you're kind of like, where did this come from? I just want one central location, one video to reference, okay? So this is that. In this video, we're going to talk about the new ABC stimulus package. We're also going to talk about how to track all the outstanding packages to see what the status is of each and every single one. When is the earliest we can see anything getting approved? And of course, my commentary on all the madness that is going on. So please be sure to keep it locked. This Crystal with the Cash Compass. Alright, welcome back. I am here to teach you all the things that you should have learned in school about money, but for whatever reason, they forgot to mention it. Please be sure to subscribe because we talk about everything from personal finance to investing to the economy. Let's get into it. Alright. I almost didn't want to record this video because I feel like every single time I open up YouTube there's another video on stimulus packages, but I promise this is going to be informative and it's going to give you information and you the power to do research on your own. So if you haven't seen my other videos about the other two stimulus packages, you can feel free to click that up here, but we're going to just kind of quickly run through those. So the first proposal that was out there was $2,000 a month, and that would be given until the unemployment ratio reached a certain percentage. Like I said, look in that video for details, but that's the gist of it. Next one was the no rent, which I think is absolutely catastrophic, but you won't pay rent to your landlord. Your landlord has to go fill out some sort of form to get into some sort of pool, and there was a lot of restrictions, and basically it was a plan to let the government own a lot of real estate. So I don't know. But now we have the Automatic Boost for Communities Act, and this one, just like the other one, does suggest $2,000 a month, but they cranked that dial, right? We upped the ante, and not only do we want $2,000 a month, we also want $1,000 after the pandemic wears away, which who knows when that's going to be. Let's be real. Literally every person would get $2,000. Yes, even your baby. Even illegal immigrants can get $2,000. In the proposal it says, don't worry, we're not going to use this for anything else but the stimulus. So I'll get into the details about that a little bit later, how I feel, but that's what they're proposing. The money will be coming through digital form, which if you've been on my channel long enough, you know that I believe that they're trying to kind of ease us into a digital dollar, and this would be a great way to introduce that system. So without getting too deep into details, basically you have this digital debit card. The Federal Reserve will be managing this account, and boom, free money. Although they are introducing this debit card digitally, you can still take it to an ATM to get money out. So cash is still holding strong right now. This amount cannot get garnished, so if you owe child support, you lucked out, but I am still judging you. It also seems to be transaction based. So typically, in order for money to be introduced into the system, it's normally loaned in the system, right? So you'll go to get a car loan, and that's how the money is created, through that debt. With this new proposal, the money will be created based on you just swiping this card. So the money wouldn't exist until you decided you need this new TV, then swipe, boom, money created. So that's a transaction-based system versus a debt-based system. I'll probably do a different video on that if you guys want it, so definitely let me know in the comments about kind of what that really means, but that's a detail. Apparently, in order to fund this, the government will be minting 2 platinum coins and giving it to the Federal Reserve. Like, I don't understand that. They create money literally out of nowhere, literally for no reason. So why are we gonna mint $1 trillion coins just to give to them? I mean, okay. Another thing that I found interesting was that it will not be considered public debt. So they can get kind of creative with how they're going to account for this, and technically, because of the wording in this proposal, they won't have to consider it as debt, which makes you wonder, how deep are we really in debt if you guys can pick and choose what you actually claim to be debt? All right, that's the meat and potatoes of that stimulus package. If you have any questions about it, let me know in the comments. But let's talk about how these bills even get introduced into law, because what I'm seeing is a lot of new bill, but then you kind of are left on a cliff, right? Like, well, what happens next? So let's go over the process of that. In my description, I do have links to these specific stimulus packages that I have talked about on my channel, so you can actually track the status. But here's what each piece of the status means. So when people have proposals, they have to, of course, create the proposal, and then it is introduced, depending on where it came from, the House of Representatives or the Senate. So they'll introduce a bill. After that, they'll create a committee, and they'll add hundreds of pages to these bills to slip in random things that'll help their friends out, because really, who's gonna read up to page 634 and find out that you're giving money to millionaires? you know, by the time someone actually gets to that page, the bill's already been approved and there's nothing you can do about it. So they have their committees, they'll go over the bill, they'll mark it up, and then they can present it to be voted on. If it started in the House of Representatives, they'll vote, then it goes to the Senate, they'll vote, and then after that it goes to the president. Now the president can veto it, blah, 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 then they can kind of override it. But the point is, that's the process. So on this website, you'll actually be able to track the progress of each of these things. So in case you were curious, everything has just only been introduced, okay? Now that's subject to change, but from what I've seen, they actually won't be making any type of decisions on anything until the week of May 11th. They can't even really go into the office, so they're trying to figure out how to do this virtually. So we might not see anything on this as far as it moving along this process until sometime next week. So definitely be sure to check yourself, or you can come back to this channel because you know I'm gonna have updates as they become available. Okay, so what do I think about all of this? I'm honestly not surprised with these many proposals. If you have been following my channel, you know how I feel about this. I feel like if they want this V-shaped recovery that they're claiming we can get, they are going to have to do something. I even heard talks about them extending that $600 unemployment a week until fall. And obviously I know a lot of people need this money, but look at it this way. The federal minimum wage is $7.25. At least that's what Google says. The additional $600 a week actually breaks down to $15 an hour if you're working 40 hours a week. So a lot of people are actually getting paid more to be on unemployment, and if it goes through the fall, you better believe they're gonna sit there and keep on getting unemployment. And there's nothing wrong with that, because if I know that I'm making more money staying at home and I can work on my own passion projects, or I can take care of my kid, I mean, what incentive do you have to work? There were employers trying to get their employees back, and the employees were like, no, I'm gonna collect this unemployment. Maybe you'll see me back in July, but you can't compete as an employer. If you're offering someone $8 and they're making $15, they're getting a guaranteed 40-hour-a-week pay. And you know, a lot of people who are on minimum wage too, they don't get 40 hours a week. So it's like you're making dramatically more with literally 100% less effort. The true value in a country comes from their production, not just from the actual money itself. So while you can give people money and just throw dollars at them, it's not going to really give us true growth, which to me is more in manufacturing and innovating, not how much money we can spend on a TV or how much money we can spend getting ourselves into car loans. And another thing is, they're saying that these illegal immigrants and everybody who puts their information in this database, it will only be for the stimulus check. Right. When I went to go file my taxes, I put my banking information in there for my tax return. Then all of a sudden you guys still have that information on file to send stimulus checks? As easily as you say it won't happen is as easily as it can happen. So I would not put anything past them. They know people are going to be desperate for this money, especially people who are undocumented. And it will be extremely tempting to get $2,000 a month for you and your kid, okay? Who's to say that, you know, maybe a year from now they're like, hey, on second thought, we're gonna go ahead and tap into that database and try to get people up out of this country, right? They're gonna get ICE on them. I mean, if I was undocumented, I would be very wary of putting my information in there. I wouldn't believe anything people are just telling you, especially the government. This also can reel in people who are avoiding paying taxes, because they're gonna want the money too. Chances are if you owe taxes and you haven't paid it, it's because you don't have the money. And if you're telling people, oh, don't worry about that, like even if you owe money, we're still gonna give you this money, that's a surefire way to get them chained up and tracked. It's obviously not ideal, but it is very interesting just to kind of see, like, we're literally walking through this together. So it's weird. It's actually very weird. But at any rate, that will do it. If you like this video, then please like this video and share it with your friends. And if you have nothing else going on, which I don't think you do, right? You're quarantining, okay? Go ahead and check out my other videos. And until next time, keep your money up.